You really thought I would come alone for dinner tonight? Mallory walked into the restaurant with 5 friends, laughing easily, as if it had long been arranged that I would pay for them. I had only reserved a table for 2, intending to give her a quiet surprise, but she turned it into a public game of humiliation and pressure. Their eyes landed on me, full of expectation and disdain, as if I were born to pay for them, to satisfy their whims. Too bad for them. Tonight, not only would they pay their own bill, but I had also decided never to be manipulated again, and their laughter would, in the following days, turn into regret and awkwardness. I'm only paying for what I ordered myself, I said, keeping my voice calm, trying not to let it tremble. The table went silent. Mallory's smile froze, her eyes held surprise, quickly followed by displeasure. You can't do this, it'll be so awkward for us. Awkward? I looked at her, tapping my fingers twice on the table. This awkwardness is of your own making. I didn't invite them. The other friends began whispering among themselves. Some laughed, some raised eyebrows. The waiter stood nearby with the bill, wearing a professional expression of discomfort, unwilling to be drawn into a private conflict, yet unable to completely ignore it. Come on, darling, don't be so stingy, Mallory said, her smile still in place, as if trying to put a "you should pay" hat on me. I didn't want to escalate the restaurant drama, but I also didn't want to repeat past compromises. I pulled out my wallet, took out the money for the pasta and drink I had ordered, and placed it neatly on the table. Clean, deliberate, with no unnecessary explanation. This is my share, I said. Mallory's expression changed instantly. One of her friends almost immediately stopped smiling and said coldly, "You're so cheap. Who splits the bill when someone treats?" Her voice was provocative, as if declaring that I had violated some unspoken game rule. Do you really think it's reasonable to expect others to pay for you? I asked, maintaining my composure. My words weren't shouted, only clear and boundary-setting. They began to crowd around, voices escalating. Some mocked, some accused, and some picked up their phones to record this so-called awkward moment. In the mirror, I could see the redness on my face, half from anger, half from the calm triggered by the shame I had endured for years. Mallory grabbed my wrist, softly but urgently. Can you not do this? It's just for fun tonight. There'll be plenty of chances later. Her voice was a forced childish plea, a last-ditch attempt before a tantrum. I remembered my passive self in those years. In college, a roommate named Jack often borrowed money on weekends and acted as if he never did. When I asked when he would pay it back, he would laugh, "Don't be stingy, you have money anyway." From that day on, I learned to avoid direct confrontation, but the humiliation left a mark deep in my bones. Later, in the workplace, the same script repeated. At company dinners, whoever ordered the most expensive dish, the bill naturally fell on me. You don't mind, right? Your salary's higher anyway. Time and again, I forced a smile. If you really care about me, don't be like this tonight, Mallory whispered, eyes threatening to tear up. Love isn't verified by me being treated as an ATM. I withdrew my hand and looked at her. I won't pay for your friend's consumption. Her tears seemed like a staged performance, ready on cue. Her friends collectively applied pressure. You're making Mallory uncomfortable. Don't you want to embarrass her? Each phrase was like a flashlight, shining on my vulnerability, trying to push me back to my old self, head down, paying, laughing along. I didn't retreat. I picked up my coat, stood, and pocketed the cash. That's it, then, I said simply, stepping toward the door. The cold wind outside felt real on my face, sharper than any accusations inside the restaurant. My phone buzzed repeatedly, Mallory's messages, missed calls, voice messages from her friends mocking me. They had no choice but to pay for themselves. The restaurant manager later told me they had to call to borrow money to leave. A few days later, Mallory sent a string of messages, claiming her friends pressured her in the parking lot to repay or be cut off. She ended up borrowing money from her mother to settle the debt. Her friends never contacted her again. That night, I sat in my car for a long time. Not out of triumph, but because I felt, for the first time, that I had made a complete decision. It wasn't a sudden impulse, but the culmination of years of self-redemption. Past humiliations weighed on me like stones, and I had finally learned to return them to the throwers. In the following weeks, I didn't stage dramatic revenge. I remained calm in social situations, set clear rules in group chats, and asserted boundaries in situations that could lead to habitual humiliation. Mallory tried to act nonchalant in the circle, using humor to defuse the night, but I no longer responded to these cues. At another gathering, Mallory came with the same friends. She tried to provoke me in front of everyone. Are you going to pay for everyone again? Her tone was light, testing my boundaries. I smiled faintly. No, everyone pays their own tonight. Her face changed immediately. Her friends' confident expressions faltered. Some chuckled awkwardly, some looked down at their phones. At that moment, I realized true power isn't a dramatic walkout, it's the quiet, consistent demonstration that you are no longer exploitable. I then implemented subtle but powerful countermeasures. Not malicious revenge, but dismantling their habitual sense of entitlement in social and professional circles. I began clearly stating expense-sharing rules in group invites, added split the bill reminders, and humorously shared receipts after events, making paying your share the public norm. Those who once treated me as a public wallet slowly got used to not taking the easy route. During a company tea break, Mallory tried to tell colleagues, "Tonight he can treat us, he always says he wants to be nice to me." Her colleagues instinctively looked at me, expecting the old script. I smiled, raised my glass, "Thanks for your thought, I'm just having my drink." Then I offered to split the dessert evenly and sent a group payment link, clearly noting each person's share. Simple, public, leaving no room for personal pressure. Her surprise turned to displeasure, then anger, but colleagues' eyes showed respect and understanding. That moment, I knew rule changes mattered more than accusations. This calm establishment of rules gradually altered expectations around me. Those who once thought me an easy target no longer pushed bills my way. Mallory's circle began to fracture, not because I spread rumors, but because, without my free pay, their minor schemes and dependencies became visible. Some avoided outings with Mallory, fearing high expenses, some complained about her extravagance. Her social aura was subtly diminished. I didn't just aim to make them pay, I wanted them to see real consequences. I kept evidence, chat logs, screenshots, previous commitments. These fragments of life became my quiet, powerful leverage. Once, Mallory posted a joke about me in a public group, mocking my poor acting even in refusal. I didn't reply immediately, but privately shared a screenshot with mutual friends, lightly pointing out, "I prefer mutual respect. If there's a misunderstanding, let's discuss publicly." Within 2 days, the post was deleted, and a few who commented apologized privately, not because I exposed her, but because the rules now existed. No one could humiliate others freely. Gradually, Mallory's social network changed. Those close to her started voicing complaints when faced with shared expenses. They no longer protected her automatically. I observed, occasionally nudged, public bills, transparency, clear rules, and evidence left no room for casual accusation. The story didn't conclude with cinematic drama. Instead, revenge's beauty lay in daily rewind and reconstruction. A friend once told Mallory publicly, "Why do you always bring high-spending people? None of us can afford this." Another said, "You need to learn to save, don't treat everyone as an ATM." These words weren't mine, they were truths revealed when protection was removed. I didn't celebrate, I simply pocketed my phone and left as usual. Slow work, delicate results, more effective, more piercing. Eventually, things reached a point. Mallory made an operational error in a key company project and had to explain to management. Her friends didn't come to her defense. In the past, they might have covered for her, but now everyone weighed costs, professional reputation, interpersonal consequences, social media image. Mallory looked pale under the meeting lights. I was there, calm, prepared, many issues documented for discussion. Afterward, several former friends kept distance. Not because I exposed her publicly, but because facing consequences alone revealed who was trustworthy. Mallory's social resources dwindled, she had to learn practical handling of bills and responsibility. She apologized to those she borrowed from, some relationships mended, some ended. One night, Mallory called, voice cracking, "I never thought it would end like this, they really ignored me." She begged me to contact someone for her. I listened, recalling the times I couldn't say no. I didn't immediately agree. I remembered the restaurant humiliation, the mocking. They ultimately faced their consequences. Calmly, I said, "Mallory, you need to handle this yourself. Friendships aren't rescued by me paying for you." She was silent for a long while, voice trembling with resentment. "Can't you just help me once? Weren't we friends?" "Friendship isn't measured by a bill," I said. "If you want to be treated as a friend, you must take responsibility like a friend." After that call, she began to change, asking about expenses before outings, clarifying budgets in group chats, borrowing money in advance instead of pressuring others. Her growth was hesitant and reluctant, but real. For me, this chain of events wasn't revenge, it was healing past wounds, setting boundaries, showing they could be respected. The story's resolution wasn't absolute public humiliation. Mallory wasn't socially exiled, nor was she destroyed. What she lost was the ability to exploit others' convenience and confidence. What she gained was maturity forced by responsibility. Some friends drifted away, a few re-evaluated and maintained healthier interactions. That night after leaving the restaurant, I didn't boast. I made a simple dinner, sat by the window, watching the night. City lights like the sea, distant traffic carrying laughter and complaints. I knew my boundaries were re-established, no longer shifted by others. Past humiliation no longer cycled like poison, but became a reminder, only self-control prevents others from leading you by the nose. The story's ending isn't cinematic, but a daily victory. You say, no, and live by it. Mallory learned responsibility and paid the price, lost some friends, learned to be restrained and accountable. For me, the old self, like a worn-out garment, finally fit after repeated trials and repairs. That night, I felt no euphoric triumph, no revenge-laced laughter, only a deep, quiet satisfaction. I had defended my boundaries, showing those who habitually use others that the world does not always follow their script.